YouTube folks. This is your friendly spirit of the wolf, Bushwicken, coming at you. This was in here. Let's start off with these. For overview, I went to a sale in St. Albans, which is a neighboring town here in Vermont. Some of you are familiar with it probably, that live in Vermont, because I am a Vermonter. So if I bump into you and you really enjoy my channel, feel free to walk up and say hi. I'm cool with that. Let's start out with these though. These are strainers. This is something else which I'll get to. They're antique strainers. This one I probably won't use, but these were, as some of you are probably aware, were mostly used in the kitchen that were around in that era of around when some of this was being used. And I think these are going to be featured in a restoration video probably, because I think it'd be cool to clean up some of the rust and stuff off them and make them usable again, maybe. And then there's that one, and there's that one down at the bottom, and the one in the center. I don't know if I got a shot of that, but there you go. We'll put that down. We'll get to the toolbox in a bit. This is a little pie dish that he threw in as well. And I believe for this bundle I paid, I think $5 for the bundle, which I didn't think was too bad. Next, we'll move on to this. This is a piece that is not in as bad a shape and just needs a buff and polish. It's a press, and as a lot of you probably know what it is, it's for pressing lemons and limes. And here's the base to it. And so that you'll probably see cleaned up in a video. The next thing is this item. I think we'll move on. Actually, let's save that one till after. Strainer, which will clean a little bit of rust off, that I can use in the kitchen. A colander strainer. I like the antique stuff. I don't know of any of you YouTube peoples. I'm sure there are some that are familiar with this, but not a lot of people are. This handle turns on this, and if you take the top off, it's a little mixing device, and you can see it's rusty inside, so I do want to clean it up and make it usable again. I believe it has not rotted through. It's just rusty and wet from the rain, because it was raining here just not that minute ago, and it sucked because it got this box wet, and this box is about ready. So that's why I'm trying to get everything consolidated out of the box I can, and probably put it away after. But here's another press. You know, you stick like a potato in there or something, mainly like a juicing press to get the juice out of it, and it flows out of the strainer. And I have I think 2 more of these, and I'd like to restore this one and get the proper paint. So let's hope for a restoration video. Oh, and before I forget and continue further, I want to put this side note that I am going to get a camera and a tripod soon, I think. So you'll be seeing some restoration videos. I don't restore too many of the oilers I get. I mostly wipe them off. But certain things I do restore. And I might restore some of these just because it'd be cool. I'd like to restore this and make it usable again. And maybe freshen up the paint on this. You know, just kind of clean it up. This is the base for the mixer over here. So we'll kind of set this down when we have space. That's the base. It has the set screw. It just wasn't set in when I got it, because I looked at it too. The guy told me that, and I looked at it, and he was right. He probably did that so it was easier for transportation, maybe. Not that it takes up much room. This I plan on restoring definitely. So look forward to seeing a restoration video on this. I like this because it has the screw bolts. I don't know if you can see that. And just barely. That screw bolt right there. Holding the wooden handle on. So that one's easy to pull apart, because some of them were riveted on and some of them were bolted on like that. And that's nice that it's bolted on, screw bolted on, because it'll be easier to get it out. And because there's a screw bolt on the bottom as well, I believe what they did Yep, there's another one like that at the top. This is bottom, in case you didn't get to see the top very well. I'll show you this one actually. And so I'm assuming they made threads in the wood. I'm going to try to leave the original finish on the wood. I know some people like to restore that because I just like that originality look of it. But a lot of restoration, it's on YouTube. If they restore stuff like this, they go all out. They even refinish the wood with. But I like that black hue of age, which is probably either black paint. I'm going to say most likely black paint, but could be black hue from age. Then I got these. So there was only one of these, and I wanted a set of them, but I figured, heck it, I will grab the one anyways, because you never know when you need them. It was probably off of a tractor of some kind. I got these two right here. These are two tractor headlights. And if you're familiar with, and let me take a walk out with you to the back. And you remember Montgomery Wards, I'm sure a lot of you, because I did the videos on that. If you look closely on this tractor, there is a hole right there where my finger is, and you can see through it, sticking my finger in it. There's another one on the other side, but it's got a cap in it. And if those fit right, I'm going to put those on there, because any of you that are familiar with the old Montgomery Ward's Mark Squire 15, 16 type series like that Montgomery Ward's like that, know that some of them came with you could order the factory accessory add-on lamps for the side. Most of the time when they did that, they had the front headlamps blanked out, because the factory accessory headlamps were brighter and lasted longer than the headlamps that came from it factory if you ordered it factory. Some of them came without if you didn't want them, and they could do that because you only used it in the day. And I'm going to keep the factory headlamps that were on that, but I also want to put these on too, so I have dual headlamps. So I want to keep those factory headlamps as long as I can. But if there's a way I can rewire these to fit into that and work with that voltage and not blow, I'm hoping these, because these are pretty close, as close as you'll probably ever get unless you scour eBay, and I've seen them. But now that I have those, I'm probably going to see if I can get those to work on there. Again, I think those came off of an old International most likely, or something like that. Probably an International 586 square box, or some International like that, late 60s, early 70s. That are the 585, most likely 585 square nose. So anyways, that's that. And I'm going to move these so they don't fall. As you can see, I'm still organizing process. Let's get into this next item, which is on the floor before we get to that. Oh, Oilers. Before I forget, I got this, another one for my, 3 for my collection, because there were 3 there. Well, there were 4, and they had a telescoping one, but I almost just didn't buy it, because I already got one, and really didn't need these, but I had to have them. I got another smaller one, of a different shape. I got this round one right here. I'm always into Oilers, so anytime I see them. The telescoping ones I'm not 100% crazy about either, because they're not as old, because they were made in like the 60s and set the early to late 60s, most likely late 50s, but not really. I think they were made like from the early 60s to the late 60s, early 70s, the telescoping metal ones, before they started going into the plastic body. And they're just not really anything of interest, because they're not that, not that I don't like stuff from the 60s, but it could be one that was made in the late 60s, and for me that's kind of like, I'm not really digging the late 60s, because it's not really vintage enough at that point for me, I guess. But once in a while I grab them. Now I went in here, I had to get this because of the vintage advertising, and I figured I could use it here in the shop. They still have matches in them, so that's cool. and I like that. It's got the matches in it, still got the good striker, decent. Use it when I'm soldering. Whole bunch of these AC spark plugs. These were separate that were from this that were already out. This was all the same guy, by the way. These fell out of this container right here. And there's a whole nother box of those AC spark plugs down there. That was cool for GMC. Judging by the looks of them and opening it out, I'm going to say that these were probably most likely. They're older, you can tell. I'm going to say, if I had to guess, at least 70s I would assume these were to be. Because they don't look that old and thick as if they were from like a older truck from the 50s. But they could be. I just think these were made in the 70s because of the way they're made. They're a little bit heavier. They could be 60s too. They have that AC logo on them. I just know that most of the older stuff was made, and I'll show you one so you can tell the difference. Most of the older, real old spark plugs, if you're any familiar with spark plugs and you've been dealing with equipment as many years as or even more than I have, you'll notice that some of the real old spark plugs tend to get like fat like that, and they were real thick made because the engines were thicker built. Like that's a new old stock, but in that size. So that's what tells me those could be just 70s, but I still wanted them because if I ever get like a 70s GMC pickup that acquires that type of spark plug, and I'm either servicing it or I buy it because I just wanted to buy and flip, I have those parts on hand. But anyways, here's another item. This wrench. And now I have plenty of these wrenches, but I had to have another. That'll go in my my plumbing tools. And this is something, because I have so many of them, I might restore the cosmetics on this one just so I can do a wrench for you guys on the channel. I should do one in each size just to do it, because normally I don't restore them a whole bunch because I use them. So not that I wouldn't still use that if I absolutely needed it, but you know, once you restore it, you know the old additive, it's like a show piece at that point. I got this as a part. I'm going to clean all the grease off of it and everything. I believe it goes to a electric motor of some kind because it's casted as one round and not split where you would slide it on a crankshaft. So it could be to a early type gas engine, but I think it's most likely for some sort of electric motor piece of some kind, or a miniature maybe steam engine of some kind, because of the way they casted it all as one round. Of course, this would always be come into the view. Of course, this would the top little circle is always going to be that way because of the wrist pin for the piston type deal on. Because even electric motors have pistons, but they're just a little different. There are some early electric motors, I should say, had like little pistons in them. They were different because they ran on electricity and a little bit of oil, but like for a compressor for say, and that's what I'm gonna chalk that up to be, is like a compressor engine. Anyways, okay, onwards, because this video is getting long, but it's gonna be. This one does not work as far as I know. It's a little bicycle siren. I want to restore this bicycle siren because someday this will end up on a bike. So that's cool to have. That'll be a restoration. Here's another item. Again, this is going to be fairly long because of the item. Here's another bicycle dinger bell. move this out of the way. It would almost be cool to do a restoration on these, but I may not, because I just use them as is, but it wouldn't hurt for use. If you're any familiar with these are cylinder pliers for, I believe they call them bit pliers, but I'm not 100% sure if they're classified under bit pliers, but they're used for when you're smelting, and you grab the little holder for smelting metals, and you dump it. You grab it with those pliers and you set it down. A lot of you are probably familiar with that were around in the era of these, because as you know, most people did all kinds of stuff like that to make money. If they needed to smelt metals, or if they needed to cast something, sometimes they would smelt the metal to cast it. But most of the time it was like melting gold into enough nugget to sell for a good price if they were a gold cannon or something, or precious metals at the time that were worth more then than they are now. Not that gold is not worth that much, but like alloy metals and stuff isn't worth a whole ton of what it used to be worth, like it was back then. So that kind of stuff. And then I also got, finally out of there, I think it's finally, let me just double check. Yep, finally, other than those, I got these set of sheep shears. Those of you who are familiar with them when you grew up around this would know those are sheep shears. And those will probably might get restored at some point, because I think it'd be neat to do a restoration on them. That's it for this container. Oh, and this, I needed one of these. Autolite ruler. So any of you who are curious, I'll leave that open for now. Any of you who are curious about this, these I got, I don't know if any of you are familiar with, I got these at the same sale today. I'll do these next. Back in the day, some of you probably remember these. They were for killing flies and mosquitoes in your house. That one will probably not get restored, because I want to leave it original. I don't want to restore it at all. That's probably on display in the house. I brought it out to show you. And then I bought this, which is a bunch of old tip-ups and jig for ice fishing. That's pretty old. And this toolbox was $1, by the way. Next, the final item that I haven't got into you, that all of you are probably waiting, and I'm sure those of you who have seen this before, it's missing the spring, but are familiar with it. A pastry press. It's missing the spring that holds it up, but I'm going to take all the parts and I'm going to shine this up and make it like new, and do a restoration video on this, because I want to make this usable again. So it'll be nice to have it go back into use as a pastry press again. So that's the overview of what I picked up today. Like I said, I'm mainly gathering right now. I made some room of some stuff I was never going to get to gather, to make more room for stuff so I can get you better content of more interesting items. Minus spark plugs and stuff. That's just for when projects down the road, because down the road you will be seeing some more restoration videos on the Ford, but you will also be seeing more auto restorations in general, because when I get a camera and tripod, I'm going to do welding on it and show you all that stuff, and I want to collect more vehicles and do more restorations. And like I said, my Ford is personal, but I might down the road get some vehicles and start doing restorations on them and flipping them. So that's why I've been masking that stuff. Because if I can make enough money where I have the space to work on. Sorry, YouTube folks, I dropped my phone. Can amass and have the space to work on stuff. I am going to, like that, I'm going to start restoring vehicles and flipping them, buying them and flipping them, just so I can make restoration videos. Until I've done at least one of every older vehicle out there and truck out there. You know, a lot of trucks and tractors, but just to say I did of different brands, different models, so I can pipe out some good restoration videos for you, which will be cool. You might see service videos at some point of my ex-boss's 72 Dodge camper van, because he bought one and I told him to come down because we're pretty close. We're friends for the most part. I had to quit there for family reasons, taking care of a family member, that's why. So there's no real hard feelings there. It's just me having to do what I needed to do. But anyway, so you'll probably might see, if he allows me to film it with his permission for my YouTube channel, see videos of me servicing the 72 Dodge, and I'll ask him first before I do that, especially if he's with me, because I don't know how he would like to be on camera, but you know. Anyways, this is 21 minutes long, and that's where it's at. Rest of the stuff I have, the Bohlins and most of the garden tractors I have, except for the John Deere, are going to be in restoration, and the other stuff. Thank you so much, YouTubers, for watching. Again, I'm pretty sure I forewarned you in the beginning. This is a long video showing what I got, so it was going to be a little longer because I wanted to, you know, I get into detail. Anyways, YouTubers, thank you so much, and have a excellent time, whatever it is, wherever you are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so if you wouldn't mind. I really would love your subscription. I'm not doing this as a medial YouTube sellout trying to make money. I'm just doing it for the fun of it. So you'll never see me start a Patreon or a donation or anything like that. I just want to make a YouTube channel that's somewhat informative to the best of my knowledge and interesting for people to watch for free, and just be able to work on these for free, so, and show them to you guys what I'm doing and open my life a little bit. Remember, don't forget to comment, please, if you would, if you disliked my video in any way that I just am putting out now, and please, if you wouldn't mind telling me why, so I can make it better. Thank you so much, and bye for now, YouTubers. Signing off.